What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to jump in with a bunch of Destiny 2 stuff to round up and some news to break down. So we've got new details about changes to expect as we go into Season of the Drifter, and this is going to include March Update 2.2.0 with quality of life changes as well as new content, and it looks like Bungie are going to be doing in the One-Eyed Mask, or maybe that's a bit extreme, but we are going to be getting some balance changes to One-Eyed Mask, so essentially some kind of nerf coming early in March. We'll break all of that down, but we've also got new details about Crimson rewards, warnings about acquiring them. We're going to speak about what's happening with Armsweek, Season 6 and 7 exotic pursuits that'll be in the game, and a bunch of other content stuff, as well as Bungie roundups in this video, guys. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you do, a rating is very much appreciated below, but now let's get right into it. So, first up, before we talk about any of the other new stuff, of course, Crimson Days is launching into the game next week on February 12th. Bungie did actually do a full reveal for this just a couple days back, and I do have a short video with a full breakdown of everything you need to know about Crimson Days this year, so you can check that out, linked below if you did miss it. But I should also mention that there will be a Bungie bounty for Crimson Days as well, so Cosmo and DMG will be jumping into the Crimson Days playlist on PlayStation 4, and this will be on Thursday, February 14th at 11 AM to 1 PM PST. So of course you have the opportunity to try and jump in and match these guys inside of the playlist, but you can also tune into Bungie's Twitch stream, so I'll link their blog post down below with further details about that if you want to check it out. We've got a couple of further warnings and things to round up about Crimson Days at the end of this video, but let's get on to what I think will be more pressing subjects for most players. So, let's talk about March Update 2.2.0. This is going to be the Season 6 update for Destiny 2. And of course, this will lay the foundation for Joker's World to be launched into the game, and we can expect a whole bunch of changes in this update, but one that we've recently got an early preview of would be for the One-Eyed Mask. So naturally, a lot of players will want to know about this one. DMG said, balance changes for One-Eyed Mask are projected for early March, and we'll have more information in the coming weeks. So of course, One-Eyed Mask is one of the most notorious exotics in the game right now, and just in case you don't know, it's a very powerful exotic because it marks enemies that do damage to you. So if someone actually damages you in PvP, it's going to mark that target, as you can see, but when you take that target down, your health is going to fully regenerate, and on top of this, you'll also get a blue overshield. So obviously, pretty potent stuff in some situations, and there's been some mixed feedback about this one. I've seen some folks say, great, Titans are pretty much going to be useless in PvP again. Obviously, it's pure speculation as to how extreme this change will be. Maybe you'll only be able to get, half a shield or something, or even no shield, and simply be allowed the health regen when you get a kill. Of course, there are a lot of different things in the sandbox that can actually regenerate health pretty immediately, so that perhaps wouldn't be as nasty as One-Eyed Mask is right now. They could also mess with the tracking to potentially require more damage, so they can increase the threshold to where a player would actually have to damage you more inside of PvP before the Vengeance bonus would begin tracking them, but that would also potentially really neuter the exotic in PvE, and despite not being a PvE focused exotic, it's actually still a pretty strong one. Aside from all speculation though, One-Eyed Mask is finally going to be taken down a peg or two, and I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts about this are, how you think Bungie could tackle that change, or any opinions you have on the change itself. Next though, on the subject of the March update, of course Bungie have previewed the fact that we'll be getting a clan update, so a bunch of new clan bounties. They're reworking how some of the clan stuff works in the next season, and on top of this, they'll be introducing a bunch of exotic catalysts from the Year 1 reserve, so that's going to be pretty cool, and we'll talk about that a little more in a moment. But also planned for March Update 2.2.0 would be a fix for the guitar error code that has been affecting the last Wish raid. Of course, this has been a pretty frustrating one, and DMG confirmed that they're still on track to deliver that fix for the March Update planned for Season 6. They're also looking to make all previous like a diamond clears inside of the Scourge of the Past retroactive. On top of this, they'll be fixing the issue where some players can't acquire the key mold required for Izanagi's Burden, but then they give us more details about stuff that is going to affect Titans in the sandbox, and specifically for PC. Of course, Titans have a tendency to be skating around pretty quickly. So Bungie say, coming in update 2.2.0, they'll be fixing an issue with the Titan lift ability that currently allows players and the use of conventional inputs, things like keybinds to mouse, scroll wheel, macros and all that stuff, to reach extremely excessive movement speeds. They say it will still be possible to maximize your lift speed by skillfully timing your lift activation inputs to boost your overall momentum. In other words, Titan skating is still possible, just less excessive. They say that players utilizing these unconventional methods are effectively able to exceed the bounds of expected Guardian movement speeds, and this is happening so drastically that it creates an unfair advantage when it comes to the fundamentals of combat gameplay, like aiming, positioning, and even networking to some degree. Bungie do say that many players value and enjoy this behavior as a core part of the overall skill set and identity of the Titan class. However, we'd rather continue to build on Titan identity and fantasy of being a fast-moving, aggressive jetpack warrior by continuing to build new fully supported abilities, and our goal is to create abilities that are fun, effective, and skillful without requiring special hardware or macros to access them. So of course this is a change that will affect PC and not console, but if you are a PC player, you'll already know that Titans are able to get some pretty excessive skating speeds by using macros and things like that. So this is hopefully going to be addressed. Of course, there could be new ways that players find to do things, but the mechanisms players are currently utilizing to do a lot of this stuff are going to be fixed and reworked in the game, once again coming in early March. Very briefly though, more stuff that could affect everyone with this update. Bungie did tease that as they look to improve the performance of snipers across the board, they will focus on bringing in more low zoom snipers in new content updates. And they said this a few weeks back when talking about sandbox stuff coming in January. Of course, we've had those updates now, but Bungie did tease that they focus on bringing more high-end PvP style snipers into the game essentially, so we should be able to expect more low zoom snipers coming anytime as of Season 6 and beyond. Other stuff that could be featured in 2.2.0 would include buffs for SMGs, trace rifles in PvE, possible shotgun changes, and general heavy weapon tuning. These are all things that Bungie say have been on the radar over the past few weeks as they work towards future updates. So for now guys, that's most of the stuff we know about update 2.2.0. Of course we'll be getting a lot more exciting stuff than that, especially as Bungie start to reveal the content drop in Joker's World, but I'll keep you guys posted. Now though, very briefly, let's talk about some issues related to Crimson Days. So just as a quick heads up, of course, Crimson Days is coming on February 12th, and Bungie say, while all players are invited to experience this event, some triumphs and rewards may not be available on characters that do not meet the following requirements, and that includes completing the Red War campaign, as well as achieving level 20, and players should be aware that some Crimson Days triumphs or bounties require players to have access to specific activities, such as the Nightfall. A couple of other known issues as well. If you've got the Fire of the Crimson Days emblem from last year in your inventory, Bungie say you will be unable to complete the Welcome to Crimson Days milestone that actually introduces you to the event for this year, so players can resolve this by stowing the emblem before accepting a new one from Lord Shaxx. On top of this, unearned or unclaimed event triumphs for Crimson Days will be removed when the seasonal event ends, and all items returning from Crimson Days 2018 can be found in the Season 2 of their respective collections, so just a couple of additional updates and things to know about regarding Crimson Days. Now though, let's speak about Armsweek very briefly. So Armsweek is a new kind of event that Bungie have had stored in the database, and the main thing that we've known about this is that they've introduced new vendors for it, so what they call foundry frames that work for the different foundries like Soros or Hake. On top of this, various Year 1 catalysts have also been linked or associated with Armsweek. So if you were to look at something like the Soros Regime catalyst, currently unobtainable in the game, on certain platforms it will read, found in the celebration of deadly craftsmanship, and that reference is actually to Armsweek. Now Bungie have confirmed that a bunch of exotic catalysts from the Year 1 reserve will be coming into the game during Season 6. And as far as we know, that does include the catalysts which have up until now been associated with Armsweek. So it actually raises kind of an interesting question. Does this mean that Armsweek is coming into the game during Season of the Drifter? Well, I think it is, possible, but personally I think it's more likely that Armsweek is being kind of taken away and completely reworked for a future content drop, maybe something bigger, if we get a September expansion. And my guess is that those catalysts will be introduced into the game as opposed to being linked to Armsweek. Just looking at the pattern of what we've seen with things like Faction Rally and Trials of the Nine, it looks like Bungie have really taken their time to rework these events and make them as good as they possibly can be in the game. So my personal guess is that we're not going to see Armsweek next season. In fact, I think a lot of this stuff could take up until, September if we get an expansion then. Of course, that is speculation, but it's pretty interesting that the catalysts and Armsweek kind of collide with each other, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens in the next season. There are, however, some interesting perks that you'll notice in the database. Mostly these are classified bonuses, but you've got ones like this, which shows a really cool kind of perk icon here. It does look a little bit like the Headseeker trait bonus, but the icon definitely suggests that it's related to precision or accuracy in some way, so these could potentially be additional catalyst bonuses for Year 2 exotics, but again, it's stuff that we're going to have to wait and see about. Up next though, of course, we are going to be getting Thorn in Season 6, and this was confirmed via the Last Word trailer, so I just thought it'd be a good time to get a better look, or a quick refresh, of the Thorn. So of course the main exotic bonus for this hand cannon in Destiny 1 was Mark of the Devourer, rounds pierce targets and cause lingering damage over time. And of course when you're using the weapon, you can see that tick damage. Back in the day, of course, Thorn was able to 2-tap inside of PvP, This was certainly pretty strong considering it was a high rate of fire hand cannon. I believe it would hit for like 90 or something to the head. But then of course later in Destiny 1, they actually nerfed the weapon and it required 3 taps. I jumped back into Destiny 1 just yesterday to try the Thorn out again. I did actually want to try and jump into PvP, but it took about 20 minutes to find 3 players for a clash game. It could have just been bad timing on my part. But how is Thorn likely to change for D2? Well, interestingly, the last word didn't change that much at all. So I think when it comes to Thorn, it probably won't be hugely different. I would personally love to see higher tick damage in PvE content though. I personally think it'd be really cool if they could make the damage over time work like a buff. Maybe additional precision shots you put into a target while they're burning would do considerable bonus damage. And this could maybe have a cap or something inside of PvP so it wasn't really strong, but could potentially allow the weapon to perform pretty nicely in PvE. But of course the exotic hand cannon story is something that's kind of going on here. Initially we had the last word, and despite the fact that we actually knew the weapon was coming into the game, in lore terms it arrived in a pretty unexpected way. Of course that led us to the artifact, the Proto-Thorn, that we found along the way as well, and now this is in the Drifter's possession as he works to assemble something much darker. Ultimately, he's going to have us reproduce a Thorn in Joker's Wild, and beyond that, according to the leaks that we've been seeing, we will be seeking the Rose exotic hand cannon, the original uncorrupted Thorn. So this is almost certainly going to be part of this longer kind of hand cannon story as well. So that's pretty interesting in itself. Very much looking forward to seeing that one unfold. But of course, a lot of us are also hoping to see a lot of brand new exciting exotics in the game going forward as well. Either way, let me know your thoughts about how Thorn could perform in Destiny 2, anything that could be different about the weapon, or any speculation you have about how we'll actually acquire it. For today though guys, that is going to summarize the video, so let me know what you think about those changes coming up to One-Eyed Mask, or any of the other stuff we can expect to see in the start of Season of the Drifter and March Update 2.0. I'll be sure to keep you posted with all the news as always guys, but if you've enjoyed this one, a rating below super helps me out. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny content. For now though, thanks a lot for tuning in as always, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.